A grisly discovery next to the 401 in Pickering.
Officers locate a body near the busy highway. Tonight, the Toronto police investigation underway. Good evening. The remains were found overnight in an area near White's Road.
Tonight, there are still many unanswered questions about the case, including if there's a connection to a search at a nearby waste transfer station and why Toronto police are investigating in Durham Region's jurisdiction. CTV's John Musselman joins us live with more. John.
Well, Michelle, I'll start off by telling you we may get more answers at the top of the hour. Homicide detectives with Toronto police will be holding an update, but we did start the day at the 401 near White's Road. Toronto police located the body just after midnight on the south side of the 401 near White's Road. Officers also searched a water-filled ditch for any evidence. A lane of traffic was shut down near the scene during the investigation. People who work in the buildings nearby say the discovery of a body is unsettling.
Just shocked that somebody's done something so heinous.
It's a little bit of shock and awe. It's like something you'd see out of a crime TV show.
Toronto police are saying very little, including why they are handling an investigation outside of their normal jurisdiction in Durham Region. Separately, Toronto police are also searching a landfill waste station on Squires Beach Road in Pickering. This is video from the CTV News chopper. The officers can be seen working inside the transfer station bays where garbage is piled up. The Toronto police activity in Durham Region is occurring at the same time that Toronto police are actively investigating a missing persons case in neighboring Scarborough. The scene is about a 20-minute drive away, where the body was found along the 401. As of late in the afternoon, there is no connection being made between the separate investigations. The missing person is a 70-year-old woman identified by the first name Yuck. Police released her photo. She was last seen in the area near Brimley and Ellesmere on July 5th. Neighbors say police arrived at the apartment complex yesterday and have been on the scene ever since. The missing woman's unit is sealed with police tape.
The daughter looking for the mother. And then I spoke to him through the window how you put it in because the police was here last night.
A neighbor tells CTV News the woman lived alone in the unit and that her husband died a few years ago, but there were occasional visitors, including a man who drove a black Mercedes and would often pick her up. Again, police have not confirmed any link between the body discovered near the 401 today and the missing woman, saying only that, quote, when they have more information, a media release will be issued. And now it turns out they will hold a media event at 43 Division in Scarborough, and that's when we should get information about who the victim is, a possible name, and gender. Reporting live from the scene, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, John. Well, Durham police have charged 2 teenage girls in connection with a swarming attack on a Muslim woman at a pizza shop. A security camera captured the attack July 2nd. Now, the girls facing charges of assault causing bodily harm are 13 and 14 years old. Durham Regional Police also say an 11-year-old boy has been identified as a suspect. A 14-year-old boy is also being sought on a warrant, and another girl between 12 and 15 years old is also wanted. None of the youths can be identified because of the Youth Criminal Justice Act.
A group of First Nations is expressing frustration after they say an ancestral burial site was desecrated during the construction of a parking lot in Oshawa. The site, next to the new Ontario Power Generation headquarters on Colonel Sam Drive, is under excavation. A statement from the Alderville First Nation, the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, Hiawatha First Nation, and Curve Lake First Nation says remains were found within large excavated soil piles. They say the site is a well-known culturally significant site called the Scugog Carrying Place. They say it appears excavation went ahead without the usual archaeological assessment required by the Ontario Heritage Act. A statement from Ontario Power Generation says a bone fragment was found during excavation work on July 3rd. It goes on to read, Durham Regional Police Services conducted an initial criminal forensic investigation, and they, along with the coroner, assessed the fragment as ancestral since it had been buried for a prolonged period. OPG recognizes the significance and sensitivity of this finding. It says we are committed to working closely with the local Indigenous communities and authorities to ensure a thorough and culturally respectful investigation.
Also tonight, another threat from U.S. President Trump, this time to raise tariffs to 35% across the board. Carney's response and the latest on trade negotiations.
Get ready to feel the heat again. The city of Toronto is under another heat warning with sweltering conditions expected well into next week. And to help people cope, city cool spaces are being offered up with extended hours at civic centers and 8 outdoor pools.
And now we take a closer look at the forecast. Here's a live shot of the city. We are in for a warm summer evening, and the warm air is going to stick around for several days with some rain added to the mix, plus that heat warning. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Well, Nathan, this is what the heat warning looks like behind me. I'll step aside so you can see the full scope of it. Windsor over toward London, in through Niagara, around the Golden Horseshoe, over toward Kingston, Ottawa, and even extending into Montreal. This is warning of not just hot daytime temperatures, but humidex values near 40 and also overnight lows that are very warm, even in the month of July. Right now, it is 31 degrees in Toronto. It's feeling like 37 in Hamilton, and it's also quite warm in Muskoka, although this part of the province not included in the heat warning. You might find some relief along the lakeshore, depending on which community you're joining us from. Oakville and Ajax, for example, 25 degrees, and that's what it feels like right now comparatively. Not a whole lot happening on our satellite and radar imagery for the GTA. We've been tracking a disturbance across southwest Ontario this afternoon and now evening. You'll notice that it is breaking up a little bit as it inches closer to the GTA. We can't rule out the possibility of a shower later on this evening. So much happening in the city. It is a Friday night in the summer, but for the 50,000 fans headed to the Coldplay concert tonight, here's the evening at a glance. We're going to take you through a full look at the weekend forecast, including that risk of thunderstorms. That's all coming up. For now, Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. On a scorching day like this, scenes like this are likely the last thing on most people's mind.
But the city was talking snow removal today, specifically problems earlier this year and how to better respond when wintry weather hits. CTV's Sean Leathong joins us live with those details. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, this was in response to a series of snowstorms that happened in February, as you may recall, dropping about 50 centimeters in the area we're standing in right now. Now, we're pretty confident it's not going to snow today, but the city wants to have these conversations now so that they're ready in the future. In the blazing heat of July in downtown Toronto, the city is talking about this: clearing roads and sidewalks when the snow is falling.
We need a stronger plan overall to respond to major snow events.
A report filed by City Manager Paul Johnson at Executive Committee outlines a number of recommendations designed at improving the city's response.
This is just unacceptable. We need to do more. We need to do better.
The report comes after 3 major snowfalls in the span of 6 days last February dropped over 50 centimeters, overwhelming city services, resulting in Mayor Chow calling for a review,
including how to optimize the resources and review the contracts.
The city manager gives 5 recommendations that Johnson says would help the city respond better and be prepared for a large snow event.
Toronto needs to remove snow in major snow events, and yet we don't have a really robust contracting approach for the removal of snow.
Johnson saying that in February, much of the issue came from the inability to remove snow that simply could not be pushed out of the way, making the job that much harder when more snow fell. They'll look at the possibility of having contracts for snow removal alongside snow plows.
We also don't really treat it sometimes like it is the emergency that it is.
Johnson saying that the city lacks the surge capacity of cities like Montreal for major snow events, combined with the practice of shutting down calls to 311 during major snow events, a practice he says that needs to change.
It leads to periods where it looks like there aren't a lot of things going wrong in our response, and then all of a sudden we see the surge when we open up the ability for people to log their concerns.
Currently, the city allocates $153 million for calendar year 2025 for snow removal. It's not yet known how much these recommendations would add to that budget. Now, another recommendation that the city manager had was that the snow removal program become a year-round program so that they can better prepare for events that do happen in the future. Now, this will be debated at Executive Committee and then Council, and it is only then that we'll find out if these recommendations will move forward. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Still ahead, Coldplay set to light up Toronto for a 3rd time tonight. Tens of thousands streaming into Rogers Stadium this hour, a venue that's had a chorus of complaints. We'll take you there live in just a few minutes.
Toronto police have released images of two men wanted in connection with a Scarborough home invasion. They're both described as 20 to 30 years old. One has a tattoo on the inside lower part of his right bicep and a tattoo on the inside of his left forearm. Police say on July 2nd, around 11 p.m., the suspects forced their way into a home near Kennedy and Shepherd. One allegedly pulled a knife and assaulted two victims while making demands for cash. The suspects then stole a cell phone before running away. Both victims were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the suspects should be considered armed and dangerous, and if you see them, don't approach. Call 911 immediately.
With the clock ticking on a trade deal with the U.S., Donald Trump has upped the ante with a brand new tariff threat targeting Canada.
Ottawa says it's committed to keep working towards a deal, but as CTV's Colton Prale reports, some experts question if that's likely to happen.
After weeks of pushing for a trade deal, Canada is staring down an even bigger threat.
Frankly, the friends have been worse than the foes in many cases. So
President Donald Trump now says he'll put in place 35% tariffs beginning August 1st. The White House says it wouldn't apply to energy tariffs or goods covered by the free trade agreement. But the president hasn't confirmed that.
we're going to see. It was sent yesterday. They called. I think it was fairly well received, but it's what we need. So we'll see what happens.
While some critics say the Liberals need to follow through on the elbows up mantra, Ottawa argues it is.
Canada is the only country on earth, along with China, that has imposed so many counter tariffs. So we have had already a very strong response.
Canada didn't retaliate when Trump increased tariffs on steel and aluminum and gave up billions foregoing collection of the digital sales tax after the president ended trade talks over the issue.
Carney's keeping his mind very much on the end game, which is to secure that economic and security framework with the United States.
Since last month, Canada's target for a trade deal has shifted. July 16th quickly became July 21st. And now Canada says the new target is August 1st, before counter tariffs will be applied. But it's the day before that deadline that could make all the difference. That's when the U.S. Supreme Court is set to decide if Trump's executive order tariffs are legal.
The last possible hope for Canada. We can't trust a deal with the president. Our only hope is the courts or Congress. And if we lose the courts, well, then we know where we stand.
The court decision won't impact tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, autos, or copper, all of which were applied under a different measure. Colton Prale, CTV News, Ottawa.
In response to the U.S. president's latest tariff threat, Prime Minister Mark Carney said Ottawa will continue to defend Canadian workers and businesses as talks continue. He also pointed to efforts to strengthen trade ties between provinces and throughout the world. Premier Doug Ford said the PM agreed to his request for an in-person First Ministers meeting in Huntsville later this month. He said the goal was to discuss a united Canadian response.
As Colton mentioned, the White House has indicated the August 1st tariff threat likely won't apply to goods covered by the free trade agreement with the U.S. CTV's Abigail Beeman has a look at what that means for the Canadian economy.
It's just so much fun.
The treasure bin at Rainbow Minerals may be fun. The trade war's impact on the small beading and jewelry supply business is not. American products are 25% more expensive, and they've stopped shipping south because the paperwork is too much. Ash Charania says there's lots of confusion and little help, with the new 35% threat making things worse.
The small businesses are being put in the middle as a pawn. And in the game of chess, those are the pieces that are thrown to the side to get to the bigger picture.
And they determine whether your goods qualify as.
The federal government does offer a guide and CUSMA compliance support phone line, though many don't seem to know about it.
The constant changing of the goalposts and the deadlines and the numbers continues, and that's quite toxic for business.
According to U.S. trade data, in 2024, only 38% of Canadian goods entered the U.S. under CUSMA, while RBC estimates 94% of Canadian exports were actually eligible. Experts say it's a matter of businesses not wanting to deal with the paperwork headache, as well as a lack of enforcement at the border.
Perhaps they thought the juice wasn't worth the squeeze because we were still getting into the United States duty and tariff free. That is no longer the case. And so it is very vital that businesses do it.
In terms of the small list of products not covered by CUSMA, they include a few agricultural goods and some textiles and others that don't meet the rules of origin requirements.
The vast majority of Canadian exports do qualify for tariff and duty-free to the United States.
Experts say getting that CUSMA certification is crucial as everyone waits to see what President Trump's final decision on tariffs may be. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
While trade tensions have prompted economic uncertainty, Canada's job market beat expectations last month. Stats Canada says 83,000 jobs were added across the country in June, most of them part-time. That sent the unemployment rate down 0.1 of a percentage point to 6.9%. Economists who were surveyed by Reuters had expected it to rise in June. The figures contradict the slow trend in the labor market and mark the first significant job gain since January.
Even though it doesn't really change the ultimate challenges facing the job market, what it does show is that we're not kind of like heading into a downturn territory in the immediate term, which I think was some concern, kind of especially in the immediate aftermath of the kickoff to the trade war.
CIBC expected the Bank of Canada to return to interest rate cuts on its next decision date, but senior economist Catherine Judge said the stronger than expected June jobs date means it no longer expects a rate cut on July 30th.
Winnipeggers woke up to hazy skies today as wildfire smoke blanketed much of the province. Environment and Climate Change Canada says the air quality index is at its peak, 10+, considered very high risk. This comes as residents in areas under threat prepare for potential evacuation orders and monitor approaching fires. And those orders are already in place in the communities of Snow Lake and Garden Hill, as the province says a fire in the area is 3,000 hectares in size and burning out of control. And in northern Saskatchewan, officials say a large wildfire has reached the northwestern community of Beauval. The mayor says any community members and essential workers who were still in the area were evacuated by 3 p.m. yesterday, hours before the flames arrived. They were mostly kept out of the actual town site. Firefighters remained on the ground to protect homes along with helicopters and air tankers.
The U.S. president visited Central Texas today, getting a first-hand look at the disaster zone a week after devastating floods hit the area. The president was joined by First Lady Melania Trump as they surveyed the damage. They also met with local and state officials and first responders involved in recovery operations. Among the 120 confirmed dead are dozens of children and counselors at Camp Mystic, a private Christian summer camp for girls. The search continues for at least 170 people still considered missing. The U.S. president spoke afterwards about what he heard and saw.
We just were making a little tour of the area. It's hard to believe the devastation. Trees that are 100 years old just ripped out of the ground. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad ones. I've gone to a lot of hurricanes, a lot of tornadoes. I've never seen anything like this. This is a bad one. We just visited with incredible families that, I mean, look, they've been devastated. They lost their child or two children, and just hard to believe what, I've never seen anything like it.
The governor of Texas expressed praise for the federal response to the floods as the Trump administration faces questions over how early warning systems may have fallen short. Texas is also facing another flood threat in the coming days, mostly in areas north of hard-hit Kerrville.
Back here at home, the stage is set for another big night at Toronto's new Rogers Stadium.
Coldplay returning this evening for the third of 4 concerts in the city, and fans are hoping for a smooth experience getting to and from the show. CTV's Allison Hirsch joins us live with that story. Allison.
Nathan, Metrolinx has added 3 additional southbound trains to try and help with that exit point at the end of the concert. But still, those we spoke with, depending on the GO train, worry they're going to have to make a run for it. Lexi and Sabrina Tamilia are from Brantford, going to the Coldplay concert and depending on the GO train.
A little nervous. We came from Brantford, so we're not even in like the GTA at all. So we have to get back to Union and then back to Brantford. So it's going to be a little bit of a journey tonight.
The pair have seats in the stands, which they're hoping will make for a smoother trip home.
I'm hoping it'll be a bit easier and like more organized being in the stands with the seats.
Metrolinx has added 3 additional southbound trains at 11:35, 11:45, and 11:55 to assist with the crowds at the end of the concert.
We're just going to wing it, I guess, and hope for the best. Hopefully we can make it in time.
Earlier this week, Twitter user Ange posted that the last northbound train leaves at 11:13, adding they had to leave the concert early to catch it. In response, an AI-generated tweet said, "Sounds like Ange had a dramatic dash to catch the last northbound train at 11:13 p.m. That's cutting it close." Metrolinx has since apologized for the comment. We asked Lexi and Sabrina if they'd consider perhaps leaving the concert early, but they said absolutely no way, that in fact they'd rather risk missing the train than miss any of the performance. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Allison. Coming up on CTV News, don't click on that text. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre is warning about a rise in smishing attempts, what they think might be to blame, and how to avoid getting scammed. That's just ahead.
So part of the reason we are under this heat warning once again isn't just because of the daytime temperatures. The overnight lows are also quite warm. 21 is what we're forecasting here in Toronto, but it's going to still feel like 29 even at the coolest point of the night. If you're spending your weekend in cottage country, the forecast looks not bad. However, there is a slightly elevated risk of thunderstorms as we make our way Saturday and into Sunday. We're going to take you through what you need to know and just how long is this latest round of heat going to last. We'll show you coming up, and stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Cybersecurity experts say scammers are increasingly turning to artificial intelligence to make fraudulent text messages harder to spot.
Here's CTV's John Rao on the growing threat and ways to stay protected.
The latest warning comes from the Competition Bureau, which says more people have been seeing those annoying scam texts pop up, claiming to be from agencies like Revenue Canada, or that you owe money for a toll highway, often including a link that scammers are trying to get you to click on. Janine Compton recently got one claiming she was caught speeding and had to pay a fine, and initially thought it might be real.
I almost got taken, but I didn't click on the link. I don't know what would have happened if I clicked on the link. I did not click. I just blocked the number.
Compton was the target of a scam known as SMS phishing or smishing. The texts often claimed to be from an actual organization or business. And while they used to contain things like spelling errors, making them easier to spot, AI services like ChatGPT are making them harder to detect.
Spelling mistakes used to be a tell, particularly when people had to write these messages themselves, and often it was people who didn't necessarily speak English as their first language.
The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre warns AI can also allow messages to be sent out at a faster rate, and warns scammers are using AI to scrape information about you from the internet.
Some of the messages may include some of your personal information as an extra way to try to convince you that it's a legitimate message, right?
The advice: never click on suspicious links, ignore texts even if asked to reply with stop or no, and forward spam text to 7726 or spam. And of course, delete them to avoid accidental interaction.
But as AI technology continues to improve, more people may fall victim, which is why the Anti-Fraud Centre and others want everyone to remain vigilant. John Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
It's so satisfying deleting those texts that you know this is a scam. It's just so fun going through that. Okay, I digress. Let's talk about the weather. It is Friday night in the city, and we've got solid summer conditions, enough to prompt a heat warning.
Yeah, but what I do like is during the evening, at least, it gets a little bit more comfortable. So if you got any plans tonight,
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, although, you know, the part of the reason this heat warning is in place is because it still is quite muggy in the evening hours. So yes, anybody looking for some relief from the heat, you might find it after the sun sets. However, it's anticipated that we are going to experience lows that are not so low tonight and tomorrow night. It's still going to feel close to 30 Saturday night and overnight into Sunday. We're now 11 days into the month of July, and we've now had 5 30-degree days. So half the month already. Here's what it looked like a little bit earlier on today. Perhaps you noticed a little bit of fog this morning or some haziness. Yeah, we had that. This was what the waterfront looked like in the Pickering area around the noon hour. Eventually, this did retreat as we make our way now in through the evening hours and the overnight. We're going to watch for some potential active weather, maybe a few showers, maybe a rumble of thunder here and there. If you're joining us from the shoreline of Lake Huron, just a heads up that these cells here on the satellite and radar do have some thunder and lightning associated with them. So maybe a good time to get off the beach. And if you're joining us from London, you've had a couple of scattered thunder showers as well. For the most part, this disturbance is breaking up as it makes its way toward us here in the GTA, but we can't rule out the possibility still of a quick passing shower, especially late this evening and heading into the overnight hours. Potential for active weather really does continue into the weekend, but the daytime hours, both Saturday and Sunday, are looking pretty dry. So when it comes to your outdoor plans, keep them. Just maybe have a backup indoor option in case anything bubbles up. Let me show you on our forecast radar some timing. So there's around midnight tonight, some cloud cover increasing and some spotty showers. Waking up tomorrow morning, there could be a couple of remnant showers, but that too is going to move out. It's going to be a mostly sunny afternoon. It's going to be a hot and humid one too, which we will get to in just a moment. But see what's starting to develop here. We've got a frontal system that's going to swing through overnight and into Sunday. This has the potential to bring us some stronger thunderstorms, especially in parts of cottage country. So just be mindful of that. But waking up on Sunday, it looks like for the most part, this is all going to clear out. And I'm anticipating it's going to be a mostly dry day on Sunday with some sun as well. Chance of showers for some areas early in the morning, again, with that system just lagging a little bit. 31 degrees, feeling like 36 this hour at Pearson Airport. It feels like 37 in Windsor. Look at that. It feels like 30 in places like North Bay, 31 in Wyerton. Those communities not under the heat warning, but you can see just how widespread this warning is. North shore of Lake Erie, around Lake Ontario, and right into southern portions of Quebec. Here's our overnight low for tonight. 21 degrees will still feel like 29. And I just want to show you a little snapshot of select cities for tomorrow. It's really the most humid day of the next 7 tomorrow because it's going to feel like 40. It's going to feel like 41, in fact, in Toronto. Your weekend forecast looks like this. Not quite as humid into the day on Sunday. However, we are going to be dealing with temperatures likely near 30 or flirting with 30 until about the middle part of next week. So here is the 7-day forecast. Lots of sunshine for Monday and Tuesday. Once again, though, highs around 30, 31 degrees. If you're ready for a pattern change already, looks like we could get into a few showers by Wednesday and especially Thursday. We will need the rain by then. And finally, some relief from the heat looks to come by about Thursday, too. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, a medical red flag for underserved youth. Researchers suggest they're less likely to visit emergency departments for concussions. We explain.
It is early bird day for the Princess Margaret Cottage Lottery, which means you want to get your ticket before midnight tonight for your chance to win the early bird prize, which is $1 million cash. Joining me now is Kim Gardner with the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, and we know this is a popular lottery. It sold out last year.
That's right, and we're now at over 70% sold, so if you haven't gotten your tickets, now is the time. You would actually be in for 6,400 different prizes, valued at over $9.5 million, so really lots of opportunities here. Get your tickets. Midnight tonight is the deadline for the early bird. And who doesn't want $1 million cash, right?
No, of course.
Yes.
And what I love is that you have 3 grand prizes with the Princess Margaret Cottage Lottery.
That's right. So we're standing in front of one of them. This beautiful cottage in Kawartha is included in the $2.7 million grand prize. It also comes with $50,000 cash. As well, we have another one up in Haliburton. That's our $2.8 million grand prize. Beautiful Haliburton cottage plus $50,000 cash. And then we have another one win. This one is the $2.6 million prize in Muskoka Cottage, plus $50,000 cash. So many opportunities to own a cottage this summer and be here, like us, in this beautiful dock looking out on the beautiful lake.
You get your tickets now. You could be here this summer and enjoy. And we have to remember that this is all going to a wonderful cause.
That's right. So anytime that you're buying a ticket, please know that not only are you in for these amazing prizes, but you're also helping to fund life-saving cancer research at the Princess Margaret, one of the top cancer research centers in the world. We've been able to fund amazing breakthroughs in cancer research, such as immunotherapy, which is a much less toxic way to treat cancer. As well, there's a new blood test that detects 50 different types of cancers before symptoms even appear. These are the things that are being funded through the lottery. So please buy a ticket, be in to win, and help cancer research.
Yeah, literally saving lives. And I know we've all been touched by cancer one way or another. I have friends who are battling the disease right now. So this is a great way to give back, but also have an opportunity to win some incredible prizes.
It's a win-win for sure.
Okay, but you have to get your tickets before midnight tonight.
PrincessMargaretLotto.com.
This could be yours.
A new study from York University suggests children from lower socioeconomic backgrounds are less likely to go to hospital when suffering from a concussion.
As our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, researchers are concerned they may not be getting adequate care for brain injuries.
Falls and sports are the most common causes of childhood concussions, but a study looking at concussions in kids up to age 19 shows a difference in who shows up at the emergency room.
We found that children with the highest material deprivation, so the lowest income children, had a much lower rate of concussion than children from wealthier backgrounds. And so that was of concern to us.
Material deprivation included factors like household income, unemployment, single parents, and parents without a high school diploma. York University professor Alison McPherson studied the decade from 2010 to 2020.
The rate of injury between the quintiles was consistent even in 2020, when organized sports were largely canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our concern is that these children aren't getting access to health care when they sustain a concussion.
McPherson says their numbers show children from higher income families were 1.5 to 1.8 times more likely to visit an emergency department than kids from low income families. She hopes their findings will put a spotlight on raising concussion awareness in certain groups.
But it might be worth it to put a special focus on schools in low-income neighborhoods and to try and gather some of the information in languages other than English, in case the parents are not able to read English and French.
Children aged 10 to 19 are the most likely to suffer a concussion. The results of the study appear in the journal Injury Prevention. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Public health officials say a Salmonella outbreak linked to pork deli meats has expanded. The Public Health Agency of Canada says 84 people have gotten sick since April, and there have now been 9 hospitalizations. That's about a dozen more illnesses and 2 more hospitalizations since the last update provided in June. Officials say the infections are linked to Ria brand and Bona brand salamis sold at grocery stores and in prepared sandwiches. The products were recalled in Ontario, Alberta, and Manitoba a month ago. And south of the border, Walmart is recalling about 850,000 water bottles. The item in question is the Ozark Trail 64-ounce stainless steel insulated water bottle. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says the items pose serious impact and laceration hazards. A press release says 2 people suffered permanent vision loss after being struck in the face by the bottle's lid when it was opened. CTV News has asked Walmart if the bottles were ever sold in Canada as well.
Justin Bieber surprised fans today with his first new album in more than 4 years. The Canadian pop star dropped his much-anticipated but surprise 7th album, Swag, at midnight. Bieber says it's his most personal record yet and delves into his life after the birth of his son. Song titles include Dad's Love, Therapy Season, and Walking Away. Swag is a follow-up to his last album, Justice, released back in 2021.
Oasis fans were out early in the United Kingdom today for the long-awaited return of the Gallagher brothers to their hometown.
And we've still got 5 hours till the band comes on, but it's all worth it. It's part of the day. First homecoming show in 16 years, so I'm all for it.
That's right, 16 years since Oasis played in Manchester, and fans are flying out from around the world to see the band play 5 shows in the city. Oasis kicked off their Live 25 tour last Friday in Cardiff. The band will tour the UK for much of the summer before making its only Canadian stop in Toronto for 2 shows at the end of August.
It's a bird. It's a plane. Nope, it's opening weekend for the latest version of Superman to hit theaters.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
Recently, you've...
The Man of Steel is back on the big screen, played by David Corenswet, directed by James Gunn. Deadline's latest box office projections suggest Superman could bring in more than $150 million US this weekend across North America. That's likely to put it well ahead of last week's #1, Jurassic World Rebirth.
Waterloo's Public Library is giving a musical makeover to one of the top pop songs of the year. They've reworked the lyrics to Chappelle Roan's Pink Pony Club to help promote their summer reading club. CTV's Spencer Turcotte has more on the effort to keep young people reading all year round.
I know you wanted me to stay.
Despite being released 5 years ago, Chappell Roan's Pink Pony Club has hit the top of pop charts.
It's where I belong, down at the Pink Pony Club.
The Waterloo Public Library saw an opportunity.
With the success of Pink Pony Club, I thought, what better song to morph into a library anthem?
I heard that there's a special place with books and fun that's bound to put a smile on your face.
Library programmer Grace Carruthers took advantage of her musical talents to cover Pink Pony Club to promote their Summer Reading Club.
Summer Reading Club, I'm gonna keep on reading.
The word similarity was just a beautiful coincidence. And she has this one dance move that she does where she reaches up and out. And I thought, you're just shelving books.
While it's sure to draw attention, it's not all about fun.
Summer Reading Club was initiated to help mitigate the summer slide. So evidence is showing that over those 2 months when kids are off from school, that there can be some regression in their learning.
Their target audience is children ages 4 to 12. The more kids read through the club, the better chance they have to win bi-weekly prizes and a grand prize at the end of the summer.
Our hope is that children will just gain a love of literacy, a love of reading, that they'll really want to engage with the stories, that they'll find themselves in new adventures.
So whether it's the Pink Pony Club or Summer Reading Club, this adventure meets kids where they're at.
I chose a song that I knew kids would know, but that maybe they would have to be listening to a censored version. I thought, why not give them a version that's just for them?
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Waterloo.
After the break, the Blue Jays take on the Athletics tonight in Sacramento. The streak is over, but spirits are soaring.
Hey there, Toronto. I'm Teddy Wilson.
And I'm Nicole Servinas, so welcome to Things to Know TO.
Welcome indeed. So each week our show shines a spotlight on some of the awesome businesses, services, initiatives, and events right here in our fantastic GTA community.
It's companies like these that make Toronto one of the world's greatest, most vibrant cities, and also a pretty great place to work, play, and live in.
Well said. So join us every Saturday on Things to Know TO.
And don't forget, you can catch all of our episodes on our website, thingstoknow.ca.
Just shocked that somebody's done something so heinous.
It's a little bit of shock and awe. It's like something you'd see out of a crime TV show.
Updating our top stories, Toronto police are on the scene in Pickering after a body was found on the side of the 401 near Whites Road. They haven't said why they're operating in Durham region, but this comes as police investigate a missing persons case in nearby Scarborough. Detectives are scheduled to share more details at 7 o'clock.
We've been taken advantage of for many, many years by countries, both friend and foe. And frankly, the friends have been worse than the foes in many cases.
Those comments today come from U.S. President Trump after he issued a new tariff threat and ultimatum. Trump says Canada will face 35% tariffs on exports to the U.S. as of August 1st if a trade deal isn't reached. White House officials indicated the threat would likely not extend to goods covered by the free trade deal. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Ottawa is committed to protecting Canadians as talks continue.
What the community is saying to us 2019, 2022, 2025 is that our response to major winter events is not to the standard that they expect.
And it may be the steamy summer, but snow removal was the focus at City Hall today as officials reflected on the slow municipal response to a series of storms earlier this year. City Manager Paul Johnson filed a report recommending changes to optimize snow removal and surge capacity. No word on potential impacts to the budget.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Toronto gold stocks traded close to record highs today as some nervous investors sought shelter in precious metals from the latest trade threat from Donald Trump. BNN Bloomberg's Andrew Bell has those details.
Hello there. The TSX Gold Mining Index rose today as bullion prices climbed again, lifted by fears of economic disarray sparked by the latest trade threats from Washington. The price of gold itself topped $3,370 US an ounce, only just down from last month's record high, north of $3,430. Over the past year, the gold stock index in Toronto has produced a fat total return of about 49%. U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to boost tariffs on Canadian imports to 35% from 25%. U.S. officials say the new rate will affect goods that don't fall under the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement, but the situation remains fluid. The U.S. leader also suggested hiking levies on multiple countries. On the markets, the Canadian dollar was at 73.04 US cents. It came under pressure, losing about 1/5 of a cent. West Texas Intermediate oil changed hands at $68.54, up $1.98. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil has it at $55, down $1.38. And the TSX slipped from yesterday's record closing high. It ended at 27,023.25, and it was down just over 59 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Blue Jays are looking to start a new streak tonight in California.
1-2. Line to center field. Robert Jr. is there, and that's ball game.
Toronto's 10-game win streak came to an end on Wednesday with a 2-1 loss to the White Sox. The Jays are still in the top spot in the AL East, 2 games ahead of the Yankees. Tonight they're in Sacramento to take on the Athletics. Max Scherzer gets the start. First pitch is set for 10:05 p.m.
There's a $70 million jackpot up for grabs in tonight's Lotto Max draw. That's the sound of Lotto Dreams being printed out at Bobby Red Maple Convenience in Whitby this afternoon. In addition to the $70 million jackpot tonight, there are also an estimated 10 Max Million prizes worth $1 million each.
What would you do with the $70 million if you won it?
Pay bills.
Just bills?
Bills. Yeah.
You got close to $70 million in bills?
Retire.
Well, to help my family out, for sure. Pay off a few bills, and buy a cottage.
Get those bills paid. The deadline to buy a ticket is 10:30 tonight.
Bills. Well, just ahead, promoting peace while addressing Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. Members of Canada's Muslim community gather in Mississauga to discuss a range of pressing issues. We have breaking news to share with you out of Hamilton, where emergency crews have responded to some type of incident at Jackson Square Mall. Police have not confirmed what took place, but Hamilton paramedics tell CTV News they pronounced one person dead at the scene and transported a second person to hospital with serious injuries. We are following this developing story, and we'll share more details tonight on CTV News at 11:30.
Finally tonight to Mississauga, where members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community and other delegates are gathered for Canada's largest and longest-running Muslim convention.
Tens of thousands of attendees are expected to take part in the three-day event.
Prayers were held to kick off the Jalsa Salana Canada event. Organizers describe it as a gathering for community members to increase their religious knowledge and promote peace. Also on the schedule, discussions about current global conflicts and Canada's role and the rise of both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia.
In contrast to those sowing seeds of division, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat uses the platform of Jalsa Salana to bridge the divide in society and call for peace and unity. We will leverage this flagship event to address critical global issues and make it an open forum for dialogue.
The convention runs at the International Center through Sunday.
Just one of so many events happening on a weekend in the summer, a lot to look forward to, and some really solid weather.
Yeah, it's looking good, especially if you like heat and humidity. And we're continuing to keep an eye on the satellite and radar. There's a lot of instability in the atmosphere, and right now showers are well to our west. But here's what it looks like. Can't rule out the possibility of one of these showers reaching us here in the GTA, but for the most part, you can plan on it being a dry evening. One more look at that heat warning that's in place. It's going to feel like 41 at the height of the day tomorrow. Already off to a warm start, as you can see. Temperatures in the mid-20s by mid-morning. And then tomorrow's high, 32 degrees for the high, feeling though like 41. And your 7-day forecast looks like this. It looks like a decent day on Sunday as well. Lots of sunshine Monday, Tuesday, and some wet weather returning along with some relief from the heat midway through next week. Michelle and Nathan.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.